MouseNJoypad.com bring you another original. It's fucking great.
There seems to be an influx of Warhammer games at the moment. At the demise of THQ, it seemed that there would be a long drought for the next Warhammer title. And wouldn't you know it, a couple of years down the line, we're up to our collective pauldrons in the Grim universe. It is refreshing to see a game that breaks from what we've come to expect from a Warhammer game, be it a dwarf slaughtering Skaven, Terminator Marine scourging a Space Hulk from a Genestealer taint, or a rather average mobile experience that takes all the elements of Clash of Clans and throws in the phrase, "for the War Master." Battlefleet Gothic Armada looks to change what we can expect from our Warhammer games, and after some time with the beta, here's what I took from it. Battlefleet Gothic Armada breaks from the tradition of ground combat and takes the battle far from the blood-soaked dirt and deep into the void. There isn't much available in the beta just now aside from a short tutorial to help you find the basics, random skirmishes with AI and 1 versus 1 multiplayer matches. It's still a work in progress and there seems to be a lot more the Battlefleet Gothic Armada will offer when it launches in earnest, but as it stands, this short taste has got me thirsty for more. Battlefleet Gothic Armada looks simply stunning, that's the start and the end of it. If you have a rig powerful enough to run it on its highest settings, then you're in for a treat. The ship models are beautifully realised, and there's clearly been a staggering amount of research done to make the ships look authentically Warhammer. The maps look pretty spectacular too, and fighting with city-sized starships under the backdrop of a nebula has to be one of the best visual representations of space combat since Homeworld. The maps are two-dimensional, so there isn't any verticality like the aforementioned Homeworld, but I have to say that Battlefleet Gothic Armada seems to be doing a stellar job overall for the look of the game. There are times when the sheer awesomeness of the visuals blew me away, sometimes quite literally. When zoomed in on the combat, you can see the blossoming explosions as rounds hit their mark. You can watch as your assault ships board the enemy to grant damage bonuses, or to stop the enemy from warping out of the fight, and when a large ship explodes, it looks exactly as I imagine it would in the Warhammer universe. The sound design ties into this well, and while some of the voice acting in the beta wasn't exactly Oscar worthy, it was still good enough that it doesn't take anything away from the experience based on the short access I had with the game. Explosions sound forceful, and the sound of your ship's prow slamming into an enemy's midsection is a thing of beauty. There are a few mission modes available in the beta, ranging from a standard last man standing style cruiser clash to more elaborate game modes like data recovery, where one team will have to assault a specific enemy ship, board the vessel and retrieve the data and escape to the warp before it can be reclaimed. Assassination makes you either destroy or defend a flagship, and modes like blockade and escort force players to either defend ships and stations or destroy them respectively. The beta ran with a random selection of modes and lacked the ability to go in for a certain mission type or fight against a certain enemy. This sapped a little bit of fun out of the skirmish experience after I had 3 Chaos vs Chaos blockades in a row, when all I wanted to do was destroy the lackeys of the False Emperor. I hope this is changed by the game's launch later this month, as it was one of the few drawbacks that it had when playing. That issue aside, there's a good selection of engaging game modes available that give us a taste of what's to come. There were 2 playable factions in the beta, the Imperials and Chaos, with Orcs and Eldar to come later. Each faction has their own strengths and weaknesses, Chaos being faster and able to engage at a longer range, and Imperial ships being more sturdy and able to deal more damage. There's plenty of choice in what ships you take into battle, with more ships and slots becoming available as you level up. If you don't know much about the Gothic tabletop game, then you may struggle to figure out which ships are better deployed with each other, or what ships should stay at range, and which should go in for a broadside. Each ship has a specific point allocation, and that comes out of an allowance at the beginning of each game. It stays true to the tabletop game in the Warhammer universe in this regard, and it puts a spin on the usual unit cap we get on our real-time strategy games. Overall, I'm impressed with the content of the beta and I'm looking forward to the full realisation of the title upon its release. It's visually impressive at the moment and it has a solid premise, but more importantly, the developers have shown not only respect for the source material, but an appreciation for it, and there's nothing more promising than a passionate developer. It is Warhammer, but not as we know it.